I have a few questions, Abraham, but before I ask you those questions, I really would like to give you a rampage of appreciation from me and from people like me here in the crowd on how grateful we are for your teachings and the way you've changed our lives. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It feels very good to come back into alignment with who you are. And we receive your appreciation fully and revel in it. And we throw it right back to you because you could not be here if we were not a match. In other words, something in your vibration made us relevant to your experience. So the compliment really is yours.
Thank you. I accept it. And this comes a lot. I'm a mother, and when I'm talking to my children, you know, you talk of reinforcement and positive reinforcement.
We don't.
Yes, you do. All the time you talk about positive energy, positive reinforcement, positive online.
We are nitpicking for fun, but we mean it over the word reinforcement, because to do reinforcement, you had to do some enforcement to begin with. And we are teaching the art of allowing, not the art of enforcement.
Right. Okay, I agree.
We would encourage you to teach through example, not through setting down laws and demanding compliance.
Well, I agree with you. What my question was, the words that we use.
They're important, aren't they?
They're very important. And there are a lot of four-letter words. A child may use that to feel important and to feel as though he is in par with other kids in the peer group and all in school and in colleges. And when they come and speak those four-letter words at home, I get triggered saying that, why is my child speaking or resonating on that vibration or what they pick up from the television? How can I teach them, even though I may not use that, but for me, sometimes I see them as an expression of their anger or their frustration.
Well, it might be an expression of anger, but it also might be an expression of wanting to fit in.
Yes,
in other words, there are a lot of different reasons that they speak the way they do. Mm-hmm. There are comedians that speak that way in order to be accepted in the genre that they want to be accepted in. There are a lot of different reasons, but here's the most important thing that we want you to hear. This is what we would say to our child under those conditions. Everyone's somewhere on the emotional scale. Now, they might be ready to hear that or not, but we think they are, and we think it's worth saying. So, if you're vibrating here in appreciation, and somebody's vibrating here in fear or despair, you can't help them because they can't hear you really. So there is a temptation to want to morph your vibration to be closer to where they are so that they can hear you. And there are many powerful teachers that make that effort, but words don't do it. And we think what's bothering you is that you think the words are indicative of him moving on the emotional scale, and we think you're making too much of his words. So we would say to our child, a teacher is only as effective as his ability to interact with his student. And child of mine, I see you as a teacher when you are with your friends and even when you are with me. So when you are with your friends, I think it is wise of you to speak the language that they understand. And when you are with me, I think it is wise of you to speak the language that I understand. Because if you speak their language with me, I'm going to shut down and I'm not going to hear anything you say. And if you speak my language with them, they're going to shut down and they're not going to hear anything you say. So I understand that sometimes you're just mixed up about which one of us you're talking to.
Very good.
And then your children will learn to find their place. And you have to understand, doesn't everybody do that? When you speak to a child, you speak in different terms than when you speak to someone else. In other words, you always do your best to adjust your vocabulary so that you can be best understood. And we would give your children the benefit of the doubt and assume that that's what they're doing, because we promise you it is. And then this is the biggest part of this, because this is the hardest part of parenting. We want you to trust your child to know that your child has an inner being. And we want you to offer all of your effort in helping your child to close the gap between who he really is and who he is being in this moment. In other words, you want to remember that his inner being is there, and you want to soothe him in as many ways as you can. When your child was just learning to walk and fell down, you didn't say, "Get up, you little dummy." You gave him leeway. You expected something to improve, and you coaxed the improvement along. And you're wanting to eternally do that. You want to eternally give everyone that you know, whether you know them well or whether they are new in your experience, even as strangers, give them the benefit of the doubt and coax them as best you can into their alignment with who they are. And then trust that from that alignment, their life will be well served, you see. When you care more about how your child is perceived by others than you do about how your child feels, you've lost the point of parenting. That's big. In other words, you want your every effort to be one that helps this child to connect. So even if you know your child is lying, calling them on it and making them admit that they are lying moves them in the opposite direction on the emotional scale. Giving them in whatever way you can the benefit of the doubt brings them into closer alignment. So sometimes you find yourself on the emotional scale in a place you don't want to be, and you don't pretend you're here by using words that don't match your vibration. There's so much of that. That's the true meaning of hypocrisy, to be feeling this way and offering words that are this way. Your children, how do they learn about vibration? You say, "Don't you know I love you?" when you are in a vibration far from love. And then they wonder, what must this mean? You see, where if you've practiced loving no matter what, then you demonstrate that when you're not in the place of love and you know it and you say, "Excuse me, I feel rotten and I don't like it. I'm going to get off to myself and do my best to focus in a way that I feel better. And when I do, I'll be back." And go off to yourself and get feeling better and come back, and they will feel the air clear in the room. And they will say, "How is it that you do that? Are you smoking something? Are you shooting something?" "No, child, I know that's what you do, but what I do is all for the same motive. I move myself up the emotional scale. And I've found that I can do it with the power of my mind." Good.
Thank you, Adrienne.